Modern marathons are high-performance environments. Every mile is cleared of traffic, paved for stability, and dotted with stations offering precisely measured electrolyte fluids to keep bodies functioning at peak state. The 1904 Olympic Marathon in St. Louis offered a different reality. It was August in Missouri, hitting 90 degrees Fahrenheit with heavy, suffocating humidity. The 24.5-mile course consisted of unpaved, deeply rutted dirt roads. Runners were forced to navigate around active crosstown traffic, delivery wagons, and railroad trains. The chief organizer of the Games, James Sullivan, used the event to test a theory called purposeful dehydration. He believed that athletes performed better without water, so across the entire 24-mile course, he provided only 2 opportunities for the runners to drink. By stripping away water in lethal heat, Sullivan transformed a global athletic event into a survival experiment conducted on an unpaved, active public road. The 32 men standing at the starting line were a disparate group of locals, laborers, and travelers. Very few possessed records of elite distance running. Felix Carvajal, a postman from Cuba, arrived after hitchhiking from New Orleans. He showed up to the starting line in heavy street shoes and long trousers, which a fellow competitor helped him cut into makeshift shorts moments before the race began. Then there were Len Tagnanet and Jan Machiane, 2 Tswana men who were in St. Louis for a World's Fair exhibit. They were the first Black Africans to compete in the modern Olympics, and they prepared to run the marathon barefoot. These 32 runners stood together in the midday sun, waiting for the signal to head out onto a course that had been stripped of the most basic safety requirements. As the runners surged forward, the official race vehicles pulled directly ahead of the pack. Their wheels churned the dry Missouri soil into thick, mobile walls of grit that the runners were forced to inhale. American runner William Garcia collapsed on the side of the road after breathing the heavy clouds. The dirt coated his esophagus and severely tore his stomach lining, leaving him in critical condition. The runners were blinded and suffocated by the grit. Every gasp for oxygen brought dirt into their lungs, turning breathing into a physical hazard. The pack splintered almost immediately. Men scrambled off the road, desperately trying to find clear air or a patch of shade away from the dust and the heat. Traditional racing strategies vanished. Forced to navigate a lethal environment without water, the runners turned to whatever chaotic survival tactics they could find. 9 miles into the race, Fred Lorz was gripped by severe leg cramps. He flagged down his manager's car, hopped inside, and spent the next 11 miles waving at his competitors as he drove past them. When the car broke down near the 19-mile mark, Lorz simply stepped back onto the dirt road and jogged the final stretch toward the stadium. Further back, Felix Carvajal was suffering from extreme hunger. After stealing 2 peaches from a spectator, he spotted an apple orchard off the side of the course and stopped running to forage for food. The apples were rotten. Carvajal suffered immediate, intense stomach cramps and dropped to the grass. With the Olympic race still ongoing, the Cuban postman decided his only option was to close his eyes and take a nap on the side of the track. The lack of race administration turned the event into a free-for-all. With no officials watching, runners rode in cars, foraged for fruit, or slept under trees. Even the runners who stayed on their feet faced bizarre obstacles. Jan Machiane was running a strong race until a pack of wild dogs chased him a full mile completely off the course. Near the front, Thomas Hicks reached the 20-mile mark in a state of physical collapse. He was hallucinating and begging his trainers for a single sip of water. His trainers refused to give him water. Instead, they fed him a mixture of raw egg whites, brandy, and a dose of strychnine sulfate. Strychnine is a highly lethal rat poison. However, 19th-century trainers mistakenly believed that in small doses, the chemical acted as a powerful stimulant for the nervous system. Hicks turned gray and lost all control of his legs. His trainers were forced to physically carry him across the finish line, holding his body in the air while his feet mechanically shuffled. Thomas Hicks was awarded the gold medal, having survived a systematic poisoning carried out by his own trainers in the name of performance. Fred Lorz, the runner who had hitched a ride in a car, was the first to cross the finish line. He was immediately hailed as the Olympic victor. Lorz posed for celebratory photos with Alice Roosevelt, the daughter of the president. She was placing a wreath on his head when a spectator shouted that Lorz had spent half the race as a passenger in a vehicle. Lorz was disqualified on the spot. He later tried to claim the entire stunt was a practical joke. but he was briefly banned from the sport for the deception. The crowd celebrated a fraud who drove a car, while the official champion, Thomas Hicks, required 4 doctors to survive the effects of the poison used to get him across the line. Only 14 of the 32 starters finished the race. The final winning time of 3 hours and 28 minutes remains the slowest in Olympic history. Felix Carvajal eventually woke up from his nap and kept running. Despite the street shoes, the stolen peaches, and the rotten apples, he finished in 4th place. The unmitigated disaster in St. Louis led the Olympic Committee to debate whether the marathon should be permanently banned from all future games. The event survived, but the 1904 race remains a testament to the fatal hubris of unregulated science and the chaotic resilience of the human spirit.